I'm working on it. It's still clearing some energy from last year, and I literally had a reading done for the entire year, and she's like, "Yeah, January is going to be a little bit more of the same bullshit, but it's just January." I'm like, "Okay, if you say it's just January."
Yeah, it's halfway through.
I
Almost
hope
done.
so. Last year was I'm good, and I keep reminding myself, you are only as strong as the stories you tell yourself. You're only as strong as the stories you tell yourself. We are sometimes our worst clients.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was really nice. This phase of life between the two kids, even though my daughter is a huge help, and my mom, and it's hard. There's no other way to put it. And I went from a business that I could literally print money and autopilot, like didn't advertise in anything,
Mhm.
shutting that down, and then have been building this for the last 2 or 3 years, and it's been eye-opening, I guess is the best way to put it. Just absolutely eye-opening. And I don't know, definitely not good in all ways, but again, we kind of manifest our realities. I always said if I could work from anywhere, that would be what I wanted. I forgot to specify that if I could work from anywhere, I'd like it to be easy and without as many obstacles. Forgot that specification. So I've been trying to like tell the universe, like, yo, as much as I really, really do appreciate finally doing what I love to do and being able to do it from anywhere, I would really like it without the other obstacles. Can we just make it easy? I just need it to be easy.
There's always some bullshit to deal with. There's always a new one.
The last like four years, but especially last year, it's like, and I know I haven't talked to a single person that's like 2024 was the best year of my life. Nobody. So, and I know you were finishing your PhD, yes?
Yeah.
So that just sounds like an ulcer waiting to happen to me.
Yeah, I feel like I was more relieved than it was done. I wasn't happy about it. I can sleep without guilt.
It's funny. I was raised by a teacher and a military man. My dad was pretty high up there, military wise, Air Force wise. I was always raised like, do your best, but nobody ever really tells you what that is. Like, do your best, but the caveat can be your best can look like this when this is going on in your life, or your best can look like this. Like, there's not some benchmark that you constantly have to hit. I told my daughter, you get down below a B, we're going to have to talk. Like, we'll get a tutor, whatever. But anything other than that, I really don't care. I gave myself an ulcer in high school. Like, why? No.
High school.
Yeah, horrible, horrible overachiever. I switched from a private school to a public school my middle of my sophomore year that my mom taught at, and Plant High School here in South Tampa. I was so far ahead in certain classes, they never should have done this, that I was given the option to CLEP out of certain classes.
Mm.
Or if I could pass the final from the semester before I came, I could bump up to AP, which is the dumbest shit anybody ever could have told me. Like, why? Why would you do that? Anyway, so yes, I was trying to get into AP chemistry, and I had to go back and pass the exam, pass everything, which AP chem was a totally different beast than regular chem in high school. And yeah, gave myself an ulcer. Sure as hell did. Why? I don't know, because I still didn't pass the AP exam, so I still didn't get credit for it.
So in all these last 4 years, how did you get a book published?
Actually, this is not my first book. This is the first one I'm talking about. I've done four other collaborations. I actually did one myself that I curated. So it's just on Amazon. It's not through an actual publisher. Although I'm really praying with some of the exposure that I'm going to be getting over the next couple months. Maybe the next one will be with a publisher. We'll see. But little wizard behind the curtain is I will be launching a kind of a writing cohort to help women get their books published, not just the excerpts and the essays, which, if you want to be part of a collaborative, that's great. But a lot of
Mhm.
women want something that stands alone, that they've published themselves, especially women like us. I will be leading that beta after I move to Tallahassee. So that'll be probably this summer. I'm just trying this new thing called not biting off more than I can chew. So I won't say it's not hard. It is difficult, especially when you don't know what to do because there's margins and there's all these other things. But one of the things that I'm really good at is processes. Once I know
Mhm.
what a process is, like I can teach it in my sleep, which is why I was really good at massage therapy for a really long time. I taught my clients all day long how to advocate and care for themselves. And I feel like I formed the company. I started playing with copywriting in 2021, formed this company on my daughter's birthday in 22. I'm just now really hitting my stride. Entrepreneurship is rough. There's no guidelines. There's no, you graduate from massage therapy school, you're a massage therapist. You start doing copywriting and discover that you want to help other women use their voices. You don't want to write for them. Nobody tells you how to do that. You kind of got to figure it out. So I'm grateful. First couple years, it was not anywhere to write home about compared to what my other business was, but it's steady and good. I'm grateful that honestly, whenever I talk to people, usually and even make an attempt to build programs, I get people and they always get results. So have been fighting that imposter syndrome that we all do and just decided the end result isn't about me or my hangups or anything else. It's about the women that have stories like ours, sexual health or anything else. It takes some balls to get online and be like, when's the last time you got fucked? And it's funny because honestly, my husband and I, like, and it wasn't this way with my ex-husband, but it is with my current husband. If we don't, get between the sheets at least once a week, we are at each other's throat. The energy in our house is off, everything. And we're creeping up on a week. Ask me how my morning's been going. Because we're trying to prep the house to go online. And we got a not great phone call from a mortgage processor because we just paid off a lot. We were hemorrhaging money last year trying to take care of my mom, who did not understand her financial boundaries. Like, didn't exist. So I had been funneling money for the last 5 years, even when I didn't have it. We were trying to sell her house, which is in the middle of the disaster area. Thank God it didn't flood, but we sold for half of what it should have sold for. But the escrow was short because of the new insurance. The insurance was going up $4,000, so her escrow was short, so her mortgage payment was going up $1,000. I mean, it would have been, you want to talk about a balloon? Every time I get upset about it, I go, okay, but the amount of money it would have taken to keep this house for this area to recover, forget it. I mean, luckily this house was built in 14. It's 14 feet up. It's brand new. It's under 700,000, which nothing in South Tampa exists that's new that's under 700,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to let go, let God, let the universe, whatever. Don't want to. I want some form of control. I really, really do. But it'll happen the way it's supposed to. Is there anything specific that you would like me to talk to you about, or
I mean, I do want to know what's your book about, but the story writing. Here's the thing. So I always I replace Netflix and all the shit for YouTube. So I go to YouTube University every day. But
okay?
they keep
I love
talking
that.
shit about all these things. But the thing is, none of the callers have do what I do. So even though yes, the general ideas are there, I'm still like, okay, and how do I do this for myself? So these, I think they're a local blog or something, reach out. You we want to tell your story. I'm like, I don't even know what do I tell that is relevant. That at the end of the day builds my business. It's not just me talking about me just to talk about me. It's about talking about me and how I with my story help people. So I have no idea where to go with that, what is relevant. And then a lot of people keep saying, oh, you need to identify your target market. I have connected very well with people who are in their late 20s, but I also connect with people who are in their early 50s. They are different things, but if you're a parent, we're going to connect on being a parent no matter what your age is, no matter what your work is. Just parenting
That's
sucks. And there's tiny silver moments and you're like, oh my goodness, I love you so much. And there's other moments you're like, why am I not leaving? I don't know if you're going through that ever, but I'm at
sometimes.
some point during the day, I'm like, why did I do this? Why did I go for a second one? Like, I already knew for the first one. Then I jump into another one. Like, then I chose to homeschool, which is like, I feel like I chose to play life on hard for no reason at all. And now I feel like I'm way too deep to then say, well, no, get used to a different life now, you know. So trying to build a business with kids always here and having a relationship where, you know, my husband's a therapist. So at the end of a long day, there's a lot for him. But on this side, I have been with the kids 24/7. There's been a lot for me too.
Afternoon. Trust me, like Bo goes to school. Half the time I'm late because I'm usually juggling getting both the kids to, whatever.
Mm.
So one goes to school by 8, the other one goes to school by 9. I have to pick him up at noon, and then normally I have to go get her by 3. So I get it. I wish I didn't. Somebody needs to pick up that banner and be like, okay. So even for the they're trying very hard to build a business around their children. It's hard.
I feel like building a business is hard no matter how you put it. You know, I don't want to discount people who don't have children. In my personal situation, I feel like my life is defined by being a parent. And outside of that, it's hard to think about who I am because any decision I make, ultimately, I need to think about does this work for the kids? You know?
Always. Well, good parents. Some parents don't give a shit. And unfortunately, especially where I live, there's a lot of people with money that are shitty parents. And it's just mind-boggling to watch the ones that are fine. Like, bye, go with a nanny. Like, I'll see you in a week. Like, what? No, I don't know. It is hard, but it's like choose your hard. I know if I didn't have my mom to deal with, if I didn't have my kids to deal with, there would be something else. because there's not a single entrepreneur or person, especially a woman in business, that's like, I just fell into this. It was easy. I didn't work. Like, even when my business was easy, I was in my early 20s, I was traveling, I was working with the NFL, I was making stupid money at like 22, 23, right? Stupid money. Over $100,000 a year as a massage therapist. It was crazy.
Mhm.
Back in like the what, 2008, 2007, so the recession and everything was going on then, but I was too young and stupid to be like, "Oh, it might be a problem building a business. It's a recession." I didn't pay attention. I was like, whatever, which is actually a good thing because if I had, I would have gotten my head and then I probably would have been totally different. But I still worked 6 days a week and I still had to give up a lot of things. And even though my
Mhm.
first marriage was a train wreck, I also know that contributed to a lot because I was gone constantly. I tried to maintain that after I had my daughter and pretty much almost had a nervous breakdown. I was like, I can't do
Mhm.
this. I'd get her up, I'd have her in my mom's house, put her down in her crib by like 6:30 in the morning, and I wouldn't come home until 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I was trying to maintain the same revenue stream, especially that my ex-husband had gotten used to. Because, it's funny, I've never dated an entrepreneur really. So, like,
Mhm.
every man I've been with has always had stable income, but that also means they don't understand that one month I can make $10,000 and the next month it's two.
Yeah, I don't think he yet understands why I'm so obsessed with it. So like right now our YouTube feeds are full of like entrepreneur, whatever, different topics or whatnot. He's like, I hate my feed now, there's nothing good. Why are you listening to this crap? So that's one of the reasons I love like surrounding myself with people who are doing the thing because they get it. They know why I'm like always thinking about new ways that I can do this. Yeah. So what's something exciting you're working with on right now?
Well, so I have a bit of ADHD, like almost everybody. So I promised my friend and my coach that I am leaning 100% into the 48 hours to change your life. The book is the first piece of this. I'm working on creating the private retreat that's a higher end private retreat because it's in a location that I can only accommodate 10 women. In order for them to have the expansive space that needs to happen for this kind of work, it
Mm.
can only be 10 women. So that'll be the end of March. It's actually my friend's bungalow that's fully renovated. It's so cute. There's a garden, it's going to be great. I'm working on getting the landing page up for that, although I'm better with this kind of stuff. So part of me has been debating just recording a video and being like, this book is life changing. If you want small, intimate access to work through it together, here's your invite. That is very exciting. I'm also launching a membership. I make no secret about I've been an entrepreneur for almost, how old am I? 41? 20 years? Jesus Christ. 20 years. Yes. I get questions all the time. I'll be launching a membership that is teaching some of this. The main result for this is accountability. So people that are trying to change their lives, people that are setting goals, there's not a lot of accountability type groups. There's pods, there's masterminds, there's all this other stuff. But the thing about masterminds, yes, it's great that I have this problem, like you get to bitch about it or whatever, or you support each other, but nobody actually keeps you accountable for the most part. And what I want to do, it's going to be 99 bucks a month. And then it's going to be like office hours with Mandy. If you want me to look at your funnel, if you want me to look at your copy, if you want me to tell you why you're not getting any leads, whatever that is, so that way people have access to me without me having to do a ton of one-on-ones. See the fact that my son's only in school 3 hours a day. I'm excited about that. I got to talk to my VA because literally we decided to go ahead and just push it through yesterday. She asked me, she goes, do you need any framework? I said, not really, because honestly, I already have 6 months of content in my head just from all the things people ask me all the time. That's actually how I got into storytelling, if I'm honest. I didn't realize I did it, but when people would come to me in pain, yes, obviously I listened to why they were in pain, but
Mhm.
generally speaking, I was able to meet them at some point of commonality, which is important, especially when people are trying to figure out why they are experiencing the thing that they're experiencing. I never lied to my clients. I'm like, look, by the time I retired, it had been 16 years. So very rarely did I get somebody that was like, I have no fucking clue what's wrong with you. But when I first started out, I wasn't the cheapest, I wasn't the most expensive, but I was the one that always knew my clients' names, always knew their story, I knew their kids' names, I knew all of it. And most
Mhm.
importantly, I was known to pull up my phone and get on Google and be like, okay, and show them, teach them on the table, this is what's going on with you. Or, hey, this is not normal. You need to see the doctor. This has nothing to do with me. Versus a lot of people that are massage therapists just wanted to rub lotion on people. They didn't actually care about healing. I think that's the disconnect in almost anything, isn't it? When your end goal is selfish, it's about the money, it's about whatever the case may be, which I understand scarcity mentality. God, Lord knows, do I understand that. But when you can look at somebody and be like, I want to help you and I don't even give a shit if you pay me, your income will explode so much faster. It's not even fun. If you
Yeah.
are 100% solid and confident in the results that you offer and you don't give a shit if somebody pays you, it's going to come back to you tenfold. Now, I'm not saying like, oh, go do everything for free. There were times that I would do sessions for half or a third of what I normally would make, and then I'd see them go getting their nails done or go getting, whatever. And I had to check myself and be like, okay, do I feel good about that decision in the moment that I made for my business, for myself? Yes. Am I going to do it again? No. And I honestly, these same people, every time I would talk to them and be like, I would be honest with them. And I wouldn't be like, I saw you got your nails done the day after we had a session. Like, I didn't say that. I just was like, I have to honor myself and how hard I'm working. And I totally get it if it means you can't come in once a week. But even every 3 weeks is really going to help you. And you know what happened? Most of them paid for the every week because they wanted it and they needed it.
So that's actually the point where I will do what I do without paying, but I have bills to pay.
Yeah, we all do.
So I actually reframing and not giving as much of my time, especially in person, away. I started volunteering when I was like 10 years old. I know what it is to show up, be spent all day and not get paid and not even expecting anything at all coming from it. But now, every time I'm out, I'm saying no to my family. Every time I'm out, I'm saying goodbye to my kids. And I'm saying no to myself because at the end of the day, you are working. Often I ended up like doing a lot of labor for like people who don't have to worry about getting their bills paid. They're safe. I'm actually in the reframing of no, I need to make sure that it has an ROI. It needs to be worth it for me in one way or another. I was working too much and other people benefiting from it without it returning back to me. Where do you feel that balance is then?
So I think it's a release of expectation. And forgive me, this is the best example I'm going to get. Like, you and I don't know each other super well. I know we've talked to each other, and I am super happy to like jump on and talk to people and everything else. But you said something to me before I said yes. You said, I know it's selfish of me to ask, which it's not, first of all, but I would really love to have you on to talk to you, about storytelling and your business and whatever. That's that thing. You told me you were respectful of my time, which I try very hard to be respectful of everybody's. Life happens, shit happens, but you try. And that's already a difference in what a lot of people do, because the difference is you're hoping, and I pray you do, to get something out of this. And I seriously doubt you're going to call me again and be like, hey, Mandy, how about another 2 hours or an hour or whatever? Like, I doubt you do that. I think part of it is an energy. What are you okay with giving? For me, about 45 minutes of my time. My intro calls are supposed to be 30 minutes. They almost always are 45 because I generally don't talk to people I don't like or I don't energetically mesh with. But after that, like, even if I'm having a great time, I'm like, okay, I have all this other shit to do. I'm not going to feel good if this doesn't get done, or my kids aren't going to get things done, or my very needy husky shepherd mix is not going to get let out. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to let him out real quick. He's ridiculous. Hold on. I know. You need to go out. I heard you. Go, 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 go. I think the balance is setting a time for, and this is actually something I do with clients. If you only have 10 hours a week to work or 15 hours a week to work, do you really want to spend 5 hours of it for free? That's a third of your time. That's crazy, unless there's a purpose behind it. If you're trying to get reviews, if you're trying to see if a process works, if you're trying to, whatever the case may be, which honestly, even if it's a beta or if it's a process you're still testing out, so make it stupid cheap, because energetics change when there's change of money. Even if it's $1, people are invested more than they are if they pay nothing. Some people are like, oh, not everybody thinks that way. No, they do. Trust me. They might not even realize it. It's sales psychology 101. In terms of balance, that's the best piece of advice I can give you is, where does it feel good? Is it one of these calls? Is it two? Is it three? What does it look like for you?
That's why I started recording it, because then I can make long form on YouTube and I can make clips for social. So we're both getting something going.
Yeah, that's
But at
great.
least right now, like the only one that I started saying no to things because I will spend, especially because it's far away, which is why long term I want to host more part of retreats. I don't want to organize the retreats. I want to be part of them.
I'll let you know how it goes.
I want to, I don't want to just work here. I do want to go around. I like, expand my map eventually. But at the same time, I cannot drive an hour, stay 4 hours, and then drive an hour back. And there's no money there for me. But I'm helping you grow your name. But since I'm under your name, I don't get anything really for me. I'm trying to say no. The only one I'm doing is in Spring Hill because it's peaceful. I just show up. If somebody comes, I teach to them, and they're a population that I wouldn't usually teach, and I don't want to specialize in it. I'm not going to go and get extra training in geriatric population, but I get to work with them. So I get the experience. And if there's nobody, then I have a studio to myself for an hour. Like, I don't have to pay. How nice is that? So quiet.
That's why you were right. This breakfast was very much needed. She's still not up yet. I'm gonna have to feed her breakfast, but my daughter sprained her ankle, so I have to go take her to the doctor. I think 11:50, but I'm friends with the doctor. He actually worked with my ex-husband, so if I show up a few minutes late, I'm gonna try really hard not to. It's not a big deal, but I think, and also, even if you can justify, because I feel like sometimes when there's a fear around money, I'm not saying you have it. I'm just saying I've seen it when
Mhm.
there's a fear of actual success, like, oh shit, if somebody pays me, I have to give them results now. It becomes really easy to get stuck in the, oh, well, I'm going to go volunteer, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do this free phone call. Or the epiphany I had recently is when I started my massage business, I just kind of touched on this. I didn't tell people I could heal them. I didn't tell people I could fix them in one session. All I told them was that I would try. That's it. And the one thing that I did that was drastically different than most therapists was when I worked on somebody, unless I 100% knew, like, no, you are a fucking train wreck. You're going to need at least once a week for several months or something like that, which I did have a few of those. I have a call with one of them who I'm going to help her write her book. She's my beta. I'm going to give her some one-on-one time. She's been my client for 17 years, 18 years between both businesses. I used to train her too, at least for me, conundrum where there's this bar of perfection that if you're a coach or you're an online entrepreneur or even in the mental health space, that you have to have these massive results immediately, or you have to exactly know what you're doing. Every single person is different. And that's how I respond to people now, especially with people that are coming to me for, at the crux of this is a lot of recovering from narcissistic trauma, domestic violence. So I purposely don't go into a ton of detail. And I even say it in the book, like, that's not this book. This book is a process. The story is not important. The process is important. I give bits and pieces. Some of that is meant because there's two other books coming out of this, but
Mhm.
also some of it is like, if you get so caught up in the story, sometimes you forget to really clarify the process. Does that make sense? There's an idea of, and don't even get me started on that. I'm supposed to be charging $400 an hour because I'm a coach or whatever the fuck. Get over yourself. It's like, where do you feel good? I mean, I'm assuming this PhD wasn't free.
Yeah. I love doing sliding scales because
Okay.
I know that for many people, this is a commodity, but the reality is that it can help in so many areas of your life. But then at some point, I started having a few people, they're working their ass off in a shitty job and all that, which is like, yeah, I will see you. I'm like, if I didn't have bills to pay, I wouldn't charge you. But then at some point, I got people who were like, yeah, we could combine, make half a million a year. And they're like, bitch, why are you paying $75 an hour?
My daughter's therapist she's much better now, but when her birth father died, was $250 an hour. That's not bad at all. That's actually really good. But so, okay, walk me through. So I know obviously, sexual health and transformation and all that, but what exactly do you do?
Yeah, I'm a sex counselor. So what I do is not therapy. The difference between sex counselor and sex therapists have a license in something. So they're mental health counselors, primary care doctors, whatever, that have the additional training. They have a little bit less training on the sex aspect usually,
Okay.
because most of them just do a certification, so it's a little bit less time. It feels like it. You just sit down and you talk. We start like, what is the problem and why is it a problem to you? Why do you care about it? I would say I focus on the soft skills. We're not really talking about this is how you masturbate, but we're talking more about I mean, I do
I don't
have
need any help in
resources
that
for
department.
that.
I was an early bloomer.
Yeah, I wish I would have had so much more fun if I had the access that people have now. Anyway, we talk about the soft skills, right? The communication, emotional piece of it, because sex is not a box apart from everyday life. So usually we're talking
Yep.
about, okay, how does your day to day look like?
Give me 1 second. If I don't, here, come here. He jumps the fence if he gets too cold. He's a shepherd husky, and he's not. I think he thinks he's human. Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
our big one things. We have an Australian Shepherd and Great Pyrenees. So I let the door half open because they want to go out, and I have to. The Australian Shepherd, they're too smart and they're a problem.
That's him. That's him.
She's making holes on their defense to get
Mhm.
out. But if you let her, she will walk around and wait for you in the porch. But I cannot have the dog walking herself around the neighborhood. One time I was seeing a client, I had my window open because like nobody's gonna come up. And then I'm like, poker face. My dog got out. I'm like trying to finish the session so I can run outside and get her. I go and the kids let the big dog out. Like people are seeing this. I don't know if you know what a Great Pyrenees is. They're
I
like
do.
giant. So I'm like trying to hold the little one and the other horse walking around. It was a whole thing. So yeah, I get it. You don't have to apologize for puppies.
Well, that's one of the reasons we're moving to Tallahassee is like I thought we would. Obviously, I was a single mom at one point. I was living in like 1,000 square feet before I left my ex-husband, and then 700 square feet when it was just she and I. The thought of like 2,200 square foot house being too small is crazy to me. But there's five of us, and those are only
Mm.
4 bedrooms, and it's like okay, I can't. There's no space. I'm working at the kitchen table today because I do have a space that I can go to downtown. It's just like, okay, refuse to pay over $1 million for a house.
Yeah.
Nope, not doing
Well,
it.
this is our first home. I'm not sure yet that that was a good choice. Like, rents are so expensive. I don't want to be paying 2,000 plus for an apartment. Like,
No,
I get anyway. So yeah, we sit and we talk, and
that
it depends what their startup thing is. Let me get resources, homework, whatever to check out at home. But really, we're talking about okay, as you're telling me this story, what do you feel in your body, and we start basically just shedding the shame and finding ways to communicate and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because the conversations for them, for me, I'm like, yeah, I like do this for a living, and like I'm intentionally seeking this story. But for them, it's like, I can't believe I'm telling you someone this. So does that clarify a little bit? What does it look like?
yeah, it sounds like you're describing a sexual embodiment, and I don't know what the backstory is behind that because I'm sure there is one, but I don't know how old you are. Like I said, I'm 41 now. It's okay to be in touch with your sexuality. In fact, if you aren't, it's like the fuck is wrong with you? But back when we were growing up, it was like cross your legs, dot your I's, cross your T's. It's a hard thing to unlearn, and even though obviously I don't deal with sexual stuff, our businesses are not that different. I talk to a lot of people about a lot of sensitive stuff all the time.
Yeah, I'm Puerto Rican. I'm not sure if you're familiar. There's a weird mix of this very highly sexualized, and you will see half naked women in every freaking local program, but you're a whore if you like these things. And there's a lot of girl boy thing. It's very binary. Growing up, I was always pushing back on it. Like, no, I don't have to shake. Why are you making fun of me? Even to my dad, why are you making fun of me for not shaking my legs? Your face is covered in hair. Like, that doesn't make sense, you know? Early when I said like I would go to sleep dreaming about kissing and doing stuff and getting married because that was the right thing. You will get married before you do anything. Um, I started pushing back on it, but then it was somehow bad that I liked it because I was a girl. Like I was always pushing back on it. I always make the joke, do you know meet the fuckers?
Of course.
Like, I want to be her when I grow up. I want to be teaching yoga to a bunch of old couples and just have fun. They're so open with their communication, with their emotions. Like, they're so good at being forward with what they want and what they need and the love they feel for each other. That's what I wanted for me. But I do want to honor that you said 45 minutes. So we have 4 minutes left.
You're okay. I appreciate that. I've got a little bit. She's actually already dressed, which actually worked out great. And then she's feeding my mother, so that works out good too. I've seen you post kind of like here and there. And it's funny that you said that you connect well with like 50s, older women and like younger women. Our demographic is really hard. We were the ones dropping it low in the club to Flo Rida and T-Pain and everything else, but somehow we're the ones that are totally out of touch with ourselves, our bodies, and everything else. I feel like we're kind of coming back around the other way, for lack of a better term. It's just interesting because my sister-in-law is Venezuelan, and obviously it's totally different than Puerto Rican, but the Spanish culture, it's very much you're either a whore or a Madonna. Like there is no in between. And I'm Catholic, so I can say that. Or I
Mhm.
was. I'm a bad Catholic. So I guess my big thing is like you said you don't know what the story is or you don't know how to explain what the story is to people. It sounds to me like you're trying to teach people to be comfortable in their bodies because a lot
Yeah.
of trauma and a lot of the shit that happens up here happens because of what happens down there and vice versa.
My story feels different than a lot of people's, but it's not. You know what I mean? I got together with my husband very young, and we have 2 kids now. We're living isolated, but we're far away from family and whatnot. We don't have either one of us good relationship examples. That's not unique, you know.
It's unique for people to talk about it though. That's the big thing that makes people different. Like here, hold on. I'll read you a piece. So there's a chapter in here and it's called Getting Ready for Your Fairy Wings, aka Digging for Gold.
Wings.
Fairy wings. Fairy wings. I wore fairy speak at Girl Boss last year
Mm.
because a lot of my brand is fairy tales. It's create your own story, right? But where is it? Okay. says, take that thought and marinate on it a little bit. Where have you learned lessons the hard way that you are uniquely qualified to help others navigate or avoid altogether? Before you say anything about others having the same skills or experience, or my favorite, I'm not anything special, I'll stop you right there. Much like fairies, we all have our own unique abilities and purpose. And if you're Puerto Rican, I know there's some lore you're probably thinking of right now. It says, if you want to be a public speaker, sure, there are a million others. I'll lay another simple truth on you, though. There's only one you. And there are people in this world that will only be able to hear you and your message the way that you deliver it, because that's part of your purpose. And just because somebody else holds the same title or has the same career is the silliest reason ever to not pursue your passion or not tell people what you do. Imagine the world, imagine what the world would be like if there was only one chef or one doctor or one author. The world, how awful and bland. That's like a fairy with no glitter or magic. The world needs you and your expertise exactly how you can bring it.
So how do you frame it? Do you at least where do you start? How do you start?
You verbally vomit. That's honestly one of the things that I do during the first sessions that I work with people. Usually it's like an hour and a half to 2 hours, and we start from as far back as you want to go and just pick it apart. If you think of our lives, they're like a big ball of yarn, right? So it's all these different colors. Think about a multicolored, maybe it started, I don't know, with one single string, but then we tied another story onto it and wrapped it around, and then tied another one. And before you know it, you've got all these different strings. Some are connected, some aren't. In order to really know what you even want to say and how you want to say it, you got to kind of go backwards to go forwards. So if you, this is hypothetical, this isn't reality here, but if you grew up in a household that you were, okay, I'll use myself as an example because I don't know you that well and I don't want to. So when I was growing up, my parents were very open-minded and very liberal in some respects, but I had to wear a skirt on the plane. I wasn't allowed, like I had to wear a slip. I had to wear pantyhose if I was wearing a skirt. I mean, and they're my grandparents. So even back in the 2000s, that wasn't normal, but that was just how I was being raised, very antiquated, but old fashioned. I had to really wrap my brain around, like, I don't know if you've seen it. There's a picture where I have a red blazer on. It's tasteful, but you can see all the way down to my navel. It's a very empowering sexualized picture on purpose. But the person I was even 5 or 10 years ago never would have done it, because if I had looked at that picture, all I would have seen is a woman that looked like a whore. That's all I would have seen. So does that make sense? Going back, I know why that is, because I remember hearing my brothers, my dad, and everybody else talk about women that were sexualized like that, like, oh, and we come from the generation of, oh, she was asking for it. So it's going back, and the way to package it, honestly, is what's the common theme? What are the common themes? For me, there's a process, there's a pattern to pretty much every part of my life. That's how this came to be. There will be a business edition with this as well. When you look at packaging it, it has to make sense to your clients. It has to make sense to your demographic. That's why storytelling is such a big part of what I do, because everything I do relates to stories, be it, fairy tales or whatever. And even though it doesn't say story, if you see 48 hours to change your life, automatically you're going to think I'm ready to change my story. I'm ready to go somewhere else. And, one of the other things that I talk about a lot of the time with this book and with the process is, you'll know when that thing feels like that's it. That's what I need to say. That's what my people need to hear. For me, it's all about falling in love with yourself, falling in love with your story, all of it, even if you do feel like a whore. Get a notebook, go back as far as you can think. There are pivot points that led you to where you're sitting right now. So if you can go back, I don't know, 4 or 7 or however old you are, however most you can think backwards. And okay, so I found my dad's Playboy. This is again, let me. I found my dad's Playboy, and I remember thinking, oh, this is amazing. And my parents told me it was dirty. I was like, and I remember thinking, well, why do you have it then? Like, do you see what I'm saying? When you go backwards to go forwards, you'll see there's a lineage there, and there's going to be specific pivot points where you're like, okay, that's how that happened. Okay, that's how that happened. Think of it as a walking your client and your people through a journey. That's the best thing I can explain it. Instead of verbally vomiting on people, what experience do you want them to have by reading this post or reading this book or hearing this speech? The kind of cool thing about words and speaking and anything else is you decide where it's directed.